With the 16th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Yang Hansen from Zibo, China.
On the night of the 2025 NBA Draft, the system broke. Forget everything you know about basketball, because after the Hansen Hypothesis takes hold, the NBA will be unrecognizable.
假手对手自抛自扣，我的天哪！
这个防守的这个
passer and finisher with an outstanding feel for the game. Think of a Greg Monroe type big man. Malika, this is one of the first major surprises of this draft.
When Commissioner Adam Silver announced Yang Hansen as the 16th overall selection, the experts on set were left scrambling.
It's the biggest, I will say this, it's the biggest surprise of the draft besides the fact I made it to pick 16 with Stephen A.
They didn't even have a pre-made scouting report ready to go. All they had was the live feed of a 7'1" Chinese center sitting in the stands with his family, not in the green room, hearing his name called 20 spots higher than anyone on earth predicted. Most mock drafts had Yang Hansen as a second-round flyer, a project piece for the mid-30s or 40s. Even Yang himself called the moment beyond his wildest imagination. But the stunning part of this story isn't that Portland reached for a player. It's that they didn't reach at all. This wasn't a mistake, it was a declaration. The Blazers, who started the night with the 11th pick, had actively traded down, collecting a haul of future picks from Memphis just to position themselves for this exact moment. This was the final move in a 2-year intelligence operation, a high-conviction bet that the rest of the league simply didn't see coming. It's a move rooted in a radical team-building philosophy we're calling the Hansen Hypothesis. This hypothesis posits that in the modern NBA, a center's processing speed and playmaking ability are the ultimate marketing and efficiency, a set of skills more valuable and harder to find than raw, explosive athleticism. The Blazers are betting their future on the idea that a big man's brain is more important than his bounce. That processing speed is the new vertical leap. By the end of this video, you'll understand every layer of this gamble. You'll see the evidence that makes him look like a generational talent, and the evidence that makes him look unplayable. You'll learn about the secret weapon Portland hired to make this bet pay off. And you'll know whether the Hansen Hypothesis is a stroke of front office genius that will redefine team building or a historically catastrophic miscalculation. This is the story of the biggest gamble of the NBA draft. To understand how the NBA will become unrecognizable, we first have to understand the player who breaks the mold. Scouts used to live and die on vertical leap and wingspan. Watch how Hansen's processing speed is rewriting those rules. The name that follows him everywhere is the Chinese Jokic. And when you see his best moments, you get it. He operates from the high post like a quarterback, with an outlier feel for the game that allows him to make reads years beyond his age. But flip that coin over and you see the reason 14 other teams passed. His athletic testing at the NBA Combine was, to put it mildly, a cry for help. His shooting numbers from the CBA are equally concerning, especially a grim 64.7% from the free throw line, often the truest indicator of future shooting potential. But the Blazers weren't just looking at the combine. They were operating on years of intel, which told them to look deeper than the box score.
We've been scouting him deeply for almost 2 years now. We had a scout identify him during one of his under 18 events. And then we sent Mike and Sergi, our 2 assistant GMs, over to China that fall to go scout him live.
That long-term conviction allowed them to contextualize his performance in the CBA, a league notorious for inflated stats and a lack of defensive structure, making prospects incredibly difficult to evaluate. They saw past the raw numbers and focused on the flashes of brilliance, like his 2024 CBA Defensive Player of the Year award. On paper, it's a massive deal, but the award comes with a giant asterisk. His impressive block numbers are the product of a very specific system where he was parked in the paint. The moment he's forced to defend in space, the film is an absolute horror show. Scouts have noted that his lack of lateral quickness could make him unplayable against the speed and skill of NBA guards. Stack these numbers across every roster, and suddenly the league you grew up watching would no longer look like itself. This is why 14 other teams passed on him. The evidence is a mess. So why did Portland see a franchise cornerstone where everyone else saw a project? Because the bet isn't just on the player, it's on the system.
Hansen on the drive and lays it in with the offhand.
The Yang Hansen pick wasn't a whim on draft night. It was the final public step in a deliberate multi-year strategy. To understand the pick, you have to understand the three key figures who built the laboratory designed to make him succeed. First, there's the architect, General Manager Joe Cronin. Since taking over, Cronin has been crystal clear about his team-building philosophy. He is hunting for basketball IQ, toughness, and high character, players who fit a specific culture.
One thing I've really noticed is the way these successful teams think the game. Their basketball IQ, their skill sets, their ability to make others and each other better is a critical component to winning these games. That's what Yang brings to this. I mean, his basketball IQ is very, very high.
If Cronin is the architect, the second key figure is the engineer, head coach Chauncey Billups. As a Hall of Fame point guard, Billups built his entire career on being smarter than everyone else on the floor. His coaching philosophy is a perfect match, installing an offensive system built on ball movement and a defensive system built on drop coverage, the only scheme where a player with Yang's physical limitations can survive. He prioritizes communication and accountability, creating the exact environment a young developing player needs.
Hansen is a good young player. One of the things I love the most is just kind of how he plays the game. His IQ is really, really high. He plays the game the right way. As a coach that I have to teach with young guys, I don't have to teach this kid. He's been taught the right way.
But drafting a high IQ project is one thing. Actually developing him is another. And this is where Portland's strategy reveals its hidden genius. Just weeks before the draft, the Blazers quietly made a critical hire to their coaching staff, Tiago Splitter. Splitter, a former NBA champion, has quickly built a reputation as one of the best big man development coaches on the planet, having worked closely with another skilled, athletically limited international center, Alperen Sengun.
Bobcat airballs the three. Good hustle by McDaniels. Rozier, though.
Sengun has publicly credited Splitter as being instrumental to his breakout, specifically helping him improve his offhand and teaching him the mental side of the game. Tiago helped me a lot. I improved my left hand with him because we are working a lot together. He's a champion, experienced, and is teaching me a lot of things. Think about what this means. The Blazers didn't just draft a player who fit their philosophy. They went out and hired the specific expert renowned for maximizing this exact archetype of player. Portland didn't just buy the complex, high-performance engine. They hired the master mechanic who wrote the instruction manual. Despite Portland's meticulous planning, the skepticism from the rest of the league is rooted in decades of NBA history. The road is littered with the careers of international big men who are supposed to be the next big thing. When GMs look at Yang, they don't just see a prospect, they see ghosts.
With the second pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Darko Milicic.
They see Darko Milicic, the number 2 pick in the legendary 2003 draft, taken after LeBron but before Carmelo, Bosh, and Wade. Darko was a project player on a win-now Piston team that had just made the conference finals. With no pressure to develop young talent, they gave him almost no playing time, suffocating his career before it ever started.
With the first pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Andrea Bargnani from Italy.
They see Andrea Bargnani, the #1 pick in 2006, hyped as the next Nowitzki because of his shooting touch. But he never developed the defensive grit or rebounding to justify his draft slot, a specialist who was miscast as a superstar. The parallels in their weaknesses are eerily similar to the red flags on Yang's own scouting report. This history is exactly why 14 other teams were scared. But historical ghosts are only one of the giants Yang has to face. He's also carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. The first burden is his representation. Clutch Sports, the empire founded by super agent Rich Paul. Signing with Clutch is a statement. It signals an expectation of global stardom. A player like Yang, with the potential to unlock the billion-dollar Chinese market, isn't just a client, he's a strategic global asset. The second and far heavier burden is the weight of a nation. Since the retirement of the legendary Yao Ming, China has been desperately searching for its next NBA icon. Yao didn't just play in the NBA. He transformed its relationship with China, growing the audience from 32 million to over 300 million people and turning the Houston Rockets into a global brand. As the first Chinese player selected in the first round since 2007, Yang instantly became the heir to that legacy, the face of basketball for over 1 billion people. It's a level of pressure few athletes will ever know, and it comes with unique cultural challenges. Fellow Chinese player Zhu Qi, who had a brief and difficult stint in the NBA, gave a raw, honest warning about the environment Yang is walking into. Once you get to the NBA, to be honest, they don't really respect us deep down. You're definitely gonna get bullied. It's a stark look at the cultural and social hurdles that go far beyond the basketball court. So how does a 20-year-old handle that kind of weight? Is he intimidated, overwhelmed?
And you as a person, what are some of your interests, and what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't playing basketball?
Sometimes I sleep. All time sleep. I like play PS5, and I like eat.
Some might see this as immaturity, but maybe, just maybe, it's the perfect psychological shield. A simple, grounded personality that might be immune to the crushing weight of being the next great hope. So, how good is Yang Hansen really? After digging through the data, the film, and the philosophy, it's clear that's almost the wrong question. The real question is, how good is Portland's hypothesis? Hansen Yang's career is no longer just his own. It is now a referendum on a team-building theory. It's a live test case for brains versus brawn, for process versus consensus, for a front office's private conviction against the public's loud skepticism. If he succeeds, if he becomes a high-level starting center who makes everyone around him better, if his vision and passing overcome his leaden feet, it will be because the Trailblazers correctly identified a fundamental marketing inefficiency. It'll mean they scouted it for years, ignored the deafening noise of the consensus, executed a brilliant trade, and built a perfect developmental laboratory to exploit it. His success would be a masterclass in modern team building, proving that a player's mind can, in fact, triumph over his physical limitations. It would be a win for every front office that values intellect over athleticism. But if he fails, if he's too slow to defend a pick and roll, too turnover prone to be a primary hub, and ultimately too unathletic to stay on the floor against the league's best, it'll be because Portland fell in love with a beautiful, flawed idea. It'll be another cautionary tale found right next to Darko and Bargnani, proving that you can't ignore decades of history. It'll prove that in a league of the greatest athletes in the world, you simply cannot teach world-class athleticism, no matter how brilliant the mind. The outcome is far from certain, but one thing is clear. On June 25th, 2025, The Portland Trail Blazers didn't just draft a player, they drafted a philosophy. And his success or failure won't just define his legacy, it'll validate or invalidate one of the boldest team-building experiments in recent NBA history. So tell me, are you ready for an NBA where IQ trumps athleticism, where processing speed is king, and where the Hansen Hypothesis has reshaped the game forever? Let us know what that future looks like in the comments below.
Hansen with the block.
Son for vacation.
Young Hansen.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe for more breakdowns that go beyond the box score. Thanks for watching.